Bonjour, bonjour. This video is to go over activities having to do with the indirect object pronoun, as well as some vocab activities in the packet. Indirect object pronoun is not something that exists in English. I hope the video yesterday was helpful for you, but if you're still struggling to understand what it means, that it stands for two words in English, to me, to you, to us, etc., please do set up a Google Meet appointment with me. You can find my calendar in the Google Classroom, and make sure. Actually, I have some students who volunteered to do tutoring as well. Couldn't think of the word. So if you're interested in tutoring with or setting up meetings with someone who's closer to your age, reach out to me. D'accord? Wait. D'accord? Okay, let's get started.
Okay, pour commencer, you have qui va où, who goes where. Ces enfants vont aux endroits différents. Endroit means places, so these kids vont aux endroits différents, are going to different places. Remplis les vides, fill in the blanks, en écrivant, by writing. Où ils vont, where they're going. Un adjectif pour les décrire logiquement, an adjective to describe them logically, et trois, une phrase verbale pour dire pourquoi ils y vont. A verbal phrase, a verb phrase, that's just saying a verb, d'accord? To say why they're going there, d'accord? So you have to use the pictures. So first you have Salomé. Salomé va, and you can see that this is a party, right? So that's not this unit's vocab, but you're going to have to access old vocab. Now, I'm going to go ahead and fill it in. You know it's la fête, right? So you want to make sure you say to the party. She goes to the party. You can't say you go to the party. In English as in French, those are locomotive verbs. They always have to be followed by a preposition. Va, vient, etc. So, Salomé va à la fête. She goes to the party. Now, you may not have a feminine noun, so just be aware of that. What if I wanted to say she's going to the boom? And you've, I think, learned boom in junior high. It was also on your vocab list. Boom is kind of a kiddie word for party these days, but it's masculine. Le boom, un boom. So that would be au boom. So just be aware that whatever your place, pay attention to the gender. If it's feminine, you say à la. If it's masculine, you say au. D'accord? Now we want to give an adjective to describe Salomé and why she might go to the party. So Salomé va à la fête parce que c'est une fille, because she's a blank girl. Let's call her a sociable girl. A social girl, excuse me. So that in French is sociable. So, parce que c'est une fille, parce que c'est une fille sociable, d'accord? Because she's a sociable girl. And then we want to say who. We've got who here, and we just want to continue this phrase with something else. So after qui, you want to conjugate the verb with who we're talking about. So we're talking about a sociable girl who likes to give gifts, maybe. Now notice this is conjugated in the third person. Aime donner des cadeaux. She likes to give gifts. We might say qui mange, who eats beaucoup de gâteaux. She eats a lot of cake. D'accord? However you want, or whatever you want to say, you can choose to say. So be creative with this this activity in terms of choosing adjectives and in terms of finishing the sentence with a verb phrase of some kind. D'accord? Voilà. Okay, now when it comes to the indirect object pronouns, activité 8, you have de qui parle-t-on? Of whom are we speaking? Or about whom are we speaking? Lui et leur se réfèrent aux objets indirects. Lui and leur refer to indirect objects. Choisis la personne ou les gens auxquels il se réfère. Choose the people or things to the person or the people to whom they're referring. So look at number 1. We're trying to figure out lui and leur in each sentence. What are they referring to? Oh, actually, sometimes it wants you to choose the subject pronoun that you're talking about. So just be aware of that sometimes you're talking about the indirect object pronoun and trying to figure out who's that referring to. Sometimes you're trying to figure out the subject pronoun and who's that referring to, like in 3 and 5, for example. Whatever you see as the third person in each sentence, you're trying to figure out who am I talking about, right? Because first person and second person, it's obvious. It's either me or you, or us or y'all. But the third person, who are we talking about? So let's look at number 1. Tu leur envoies des emails pour annuler une commande. You, to them, send emails to cancel une commande. That was the word for an order. D'accord? So you, to them, send emails. Tu leur envoies des emails pour annuler une commande. Well, qui c'est? Who is it? Des vendeurs d'Amazon. Amazon sellers, right? Because one, we know that leur is plural, so you probably don't cancel orders from your friends. Tes amis and des vendeurs are your 2 plural choices. Et voilà. D'accord? So pay attention to when it's plural and when it's not. I think there's one in there that you might be like, oh, that could be my mom or my friends. Well, is it saying il with an S or leur? Or is it saying il/L or lui? Because that could make the choice for you. All right, next activity, activité 9. Quel pronom indirect? Which indirect object pronoun? Which indirect pronoun? Écris le pronom de l'objet indirect qui peut remplacer la phrase soulignée. Write the pronoun of the indirect object that can replace, or I might say refer to, se référer à, the underlined phrase. Okay. So number 1, you have ce film fait peur à ma petite sœur. This film makes fear at my little sister. That's how you say this film scares my little sister. So we want to say at my little sister, to her, instead of to my little sister. So how do you say to her? Well, that is lui. D'accord? So that underlined phrase, to my little sister, you've got to think, what's the pronoun I would use there? You can think in English if you have to first. To her. Okay, to her is which one? That's lui. So ce film lui fait peur. That film, to her, makes fear. D'accord? Let's do another one. Number 4, you've got ça plaît à moi. That pleases or is pleasing to me. Well, while you can say ça plaît à moi in French, it's perfectly logical. They're going to, instead of à moi, they're going to say me. This one's this one's an easier one to figure out quickly. So to say that that's pleasing to me, or in other words, I like it, ça me plaît. D'accord? So just know in French that you can say j'aime, je l'aime, ça me plaît. There's several different ways you can say that you like someone. Just so you know, if you want to say you have a crush on someone, you would say il or elle me plaît. He or she is pleasing to me. Because remember that if you use j'aime with people, that's like saying I love. Je t'aime is I love you. And it's pretty serious to hear from a French person. But if you say to a French person, bah, tu me plais, you're pleasing to me, that's like saying, no, I kind of like you. I kind of have a crush on you. So just be aware. It sounds weird when we use the word pleasing. That's not a word we typically use with people in English, but that is the phrase that French people use to say they have a crush or that they like someone. Voilà. All right, activité 10. Récris la phrase. Rewrite the phrase. Underline the indirect objects in each phrase. Then rewrite the phrase with the, that should say indirect. We'll fix that. The pronoun of the indirect object, lui or leur. So you're just using lui or leur here. That makes it a little bit easier on you. You don't have to worry about me, nous. But let's look at number 1. You've got j'envoie une carte à ma cousine. I'm sending a card to my cousin. And look, you've got the English there too. So we want to replace something here with lui or leur. Well, I've got the English here too. I'm sending her a card, or I'm sending a card to her. What is the indirect object? What's the to plus pronoun? It's to her, right? And so what are we, and notice the directions tell you to underline. So what's the to her referring to over here? It's the to my cousine, to my cousin, which is à ma cousine. D'accord? So make sure you underline à ma cousine, and now we have to rewrite the sentence. So when we rewrite the sentence to saying I'm sending her a card, we are no longer saying to my cousin. D'accord? I'm sending her a card. Now, careful with word order. You should know word order. That lui, where does it go? Because you don't want to fall under the spell of, oh, I'm sending her a card. So it's going to be j'envoie lui une carte, or I'm sending a card to her. J'envoie une carte lui. No. French has very particular rules, very logical, and what's the word I want? They're the same all the time. That's whatever the word is for that. I can't think of it right now. So it's got to go in front of your verb. Consistent, very consistent rules. There we go. Je lui envoie, and then you're going to write une carte. I to her send a card. D'accord, je lui envoie une carte. D'accord, méli-mélo. You guys know what to do here. Here are mixed up phrases. Voici des phrases mélangées. Écris la phrase avec un ordre grammaticalement logique. So you know to look for a subject first. The English is here, which makes it super easy. We want to say she's talking, so we want to say elle to start. But what about talking? She's talking to him, so careful when it comes to word order. We want to make sure that this indirect object is going in front of the verb. She's talking to him, so the to him comes next. Elle lui parle. She to him speaks, and then about school, we want to say of school, de l'école. She to him speaks of school is how you say she's talking to him about school. Elle lui parle de l'école. Ça va? So you guys know what to do with activity 11. Activité 12. Tes habitudes, your habits. Respond to the questions. Réponds aux questions sur tes habitudes en phrase complète. About your habits in complete sentences. Remplace l'objet indirect avec le pronom qui correspond à cet objet indirect. So replace the indirect object with the pronoun that corresponds to this indirect object. So you're doing a little more here. You have to answer these questions more succinctly than, like, so number one, it says, est-ce que tu téléphones souvent à ton meilleur ami? Do you telephone often to your best friend? You don't want to say, I telephone often to my best friend. It's wordy. When you're answering questions in English as in French, use pronouns to help it sound nicer. So you want to say, I telephone to him often, or I telephone to her often. Okay. So what's that going to look like when you answer? Well, est-ce que just renders it as a question. Is it that you telephone often to your friend? Je, right? So I telephone, but pronouns go before the verb. So I to him telephone, or I to her telephone. It won't matter because lui means both to him and to her. If your best friend is a stuffed animal, then it can also mean to it. So that's good news. Je lui téléphone. I to him telephone. Careful conjugation. Make sure it conjugates with the je. Je lui téléphone souvent. Or if you want to answer it in the negative, je ne. Know that ne always leads the verb phrase. So je ne lui téléphone pas souvent. D'accord? So your ne pas, ne leads the verb phrase, pas comes after the verb. D'accord?
Et c'est tout. That's all. So please do ask me if you have any questions. I'm happy to do Google Meet meetings with you. I'm happy to answer questions by email. Donc voilà. Bonne journée et au revoir.